Evelyn hated mirrors. They always felt wrong to her. She didn't know why, but something about them made her uncomfortable, like looking at a picture that wasn't quite right. Whenever she could, she avoided them. If she couldn't, she only glanced quickly, just enough to fix her hair or makeup, never long enough to really see herself. Her friends thought it was funny and teased her about her mirror phobia. They called her superstitious or childish. But to Evelyn, it wasn't a joke. Mirrors felt like more than just glass and reflections. She'd felt this way for as long as she could remember. It started when she was a kid. Sometimes when she looked in the mirror, she swore her reflection moved a second too late, as if it forgot to copy her right away. It didn't happen all the time, just occasionally. It was such a small thing that it was impossible to explain, without sounding crazy. When she was a teenager, she decided to test it. One night, she stared at her bedroom mirror for several minutes. Nothing happened. But after that, she felt like she was being watched, like invisible eyes were following her everywhere. That was when she decided she'd never test it again. Until tonight. She stood in the small bathroom of her new flat, looking into the mirror for the first time in years. The flat was old, with cracked tiles and faded paint, but the mirror over the sink was spotless. It looked out of place, almost too perfect for such a rundown space. Evelyn tried to ignore it, but tonight, she was tired of avoiding it. "I'm being silly," she told herself, her voice echoing off the bathroom walls. "It's just a mirror." Her reflection copied her perfectly. Of course it did. But the longer she stared, the more it felt wrong. Her eyes didn't look quite right, not their shape or color, but the way they stared back at her, almost like they were watching her. She blinked. Her reflection didn't. Evelyn's stomach dropped. She froze, holding her breath, unable to look away. A moment later, her reflection blinked, but too slowly, and its head tilted just slightly. "Okay," Evelyn whispered, gripping the sink tightly. "I'm just tired. This isn't real." Then her reflection smiled. Evelyn's knees almost buckled. The smile was all wrong, stretched too wide, making her reflection's face look distorted like a broken mask. It didn't look like her anymore, but it still moved like her, leaning closer to the glass. "Who? What are you?" Evelyn whispered. The smile vanished. Her reflection tilted its head further, its eyes narrowing. "The better question," it said in a voice like hers, but not quite, "is who are you?" Evelyn stumbled backward, knocking over a bottle of soap. This time, her reflection didn't copy her. It stayed still, watching her. "You're not real," Evelyn stammered. "This isn't happening." "Real?" The reflection mocked. "Is this real?" It reached forward, pressing its hand against the inside of the glass. The surface rippled, like water. Evelyn backed into the wall, her chest heaving. "You've spent your whole life pretending I'm not here," the reflection said, stepping closer to the glass. "But I've always been here, watching, waiting." "Waiting for what?" Evelyn croaked. "For you to see," it replied. The reflection pushed its hand through the glass. Its fingers were pale, cold, and not entirely human. Evelyn screamed and ran to the door, but it slammed shut before she could open it. "Let me out," she shouted, pounding on the door. "There's nowhere to go," the reflection said, now standing behind her. "You've been running your whole life, running from the truth." Evelyn turned slowly, pressing her back against the door. The figure from the mirror stood there, its face twisted and unnatural, but still resembling hers. "What truth?" Evelyn whispered. The creature grinned, its mouth stretching too wide again. "That you were never the one on this side." Evelyn's breath caught in her throat. She looked past the creature into the mirror. The bathroom on the other side was empty. No, not empty. Someone was there. A woman pounding on the glass, her eyes wide with fear. Evelyn's eyes. Evelyn tried to scream, but no sound came out. The creature put a finger to its lips and said softly, "Don't worry, I'll take good care of your life." You can rest now." Then it walked out of the bathroom, leaving Evelyn trapped in the mirror. She pounded on the glass, screaming silently, but it was no use. Slowly, the mirror began to darken and the world on the other side faded to black. All that was left was her reflection, and it smiled.